All right, and we are live for our second episode of We Did a Podcast. Yes, I have here with me David.
Hello, I am here.
And I am Franklin. We're going to get started. We're still kind of in the experimentary phase of this podcast, still seeing where things go. We'll be swapping out segments as we go along through this. And as usual, if you have any suggestions, comments to make, we got that Gmail set up, right? Is it wedidapodcast@gmail.com?
Yes,
Nailed it.
Very simple.
Nailed it.
The IPs are wide open right now.
Yes, so wide on the IPs. All right, so our new segment that we're going to be starting off with today is, that's interesting, kind of a current events news segment. We've each got 3, and we're going to be sharing these with each other. And David, why don't you go ahead and get started on that?
I would love to. I would love to get started. Frank, what day is it?
Thursday.
Thursday what?
May. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
It's
indeed.
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh no. That's tomorrow.
Did it pass already?
No, today's May 4th.
What happened on May 4th?
May the 4th be with you, Frank.
Oh man, I am just failing all over the place.
It's National Star Wars Day. Well, I don't know if it's national. It might be internet. It's not a real holiday. Let's just put that out there first.
Don't you ever say that.
Well, I mean, it's a real holiday in the fact that every year I watch Star Wars.
Somebody probably got the day off somewhere.
Maybe.
I had the day off, just out of happenstance.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll count it.
Nice.
So to start off, I thought, what better news to discuss on May the 4th, but the recent announcement of Star Wars Episode 9. They put the release day out for it.
That's interesting.
Oh, that is interesting, right? It's going to be released May 24th, 2019. I highly doubt anyone who uses the internet hasn't already heard about this or, seen the trailer or whatnot. But I kind of just wanted to get your vibe off this because I was talking about it today. Back when I maybe had a little more time on my hands, like in high school, on Star Wars Day, I could sit down and I could watch all 3 Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah, so much time.
Which sounds ridiculous,
and
but I was in high
homework doesn't
school.
really matter in the long run.
It really doesn't. They kind of lie to you a little bit. I mean, no, homework is very important. Homework is very important for the future, Frank.
Well, I'm not studying to be a teacher, so I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you.
Anyways, that's a disagreement for another day. And then the prequels come out, and, got a little bit harder. Suddenly, twice as much to watch all of them. And then this year I was thinking, well, I could watch the original trilogy, which I've seen 1 billion times. I don't want to watch the prequel trilogy. We talked a little bit about that last time. I'm good. I could watch Rogue One. We saw a little while ago. Still not the best. A little bit better than the prequels.
And it's still very fresh. It was probably only like a week or 2 ago that we watched Rogue One.
And I still managed to fall asleep.
That you did.
I did. I totally conked out at the end.
You were sleeping like a sweet little angel.
It was a little tiny Star Wars, little Ewok baby.
Aw,
that sounds adorable. I kind of decided maybe I should watch Force Awakens today, but I mean, we're not watching anything. We're recording a podcast right now, so the chances of me watching like a 2.5-hour movie after this,
not likely,
or I'll fall asleep. I mean, it'll just happen.
Just take a little Star Wars nap.
I'll probably end up watching a little bit of Star Wars Rebels. I've been watching that. It's been a good time.
That counts.
It totally counts. It's canon. The point I'm getting at, though, is, man, in another 5-6 years, if you wanted to do a marathon of all the Star Wars movies, you're going to be looking at 12 movies. If this keeps going in a decade at the rate that they're putting them out every year, it's going to be 20 Star Wars movies or something? How are you even going to... It'd take you a month to realistically watch. You're watching one a night and you have something else to do with your life other than watching Star Wars. It's going to be a long time.
And movies aren't getting shorter.
And it just seems like everyone's hopping on this, this is happening for a while, but they're hopping on the expanded universe and everything's going to
expand that universe.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
The comic book movies are getting way out of hand. I mean, some of them are cool, but how could you keep up? If you want to watch the Marvel ones, you got to watch all the movies. Then you got to watch all the Netflix shows. There's Agent Carter, which I think is canceled. I don't even know. It's just crazy. But the other announcement that they had from Disney now, of course, is that Indiana Jones 5 has a release date
Because 4 was so good.
because 4 was just like blowing people out of the water.
Yeah, critically acclaimed 4.
Yeah, everyone's favorite Indiana Jones. It's going to come out in July 10th, 2020, which is already being pushed back a year. It was supposed to come out in 2019. How is Harrison... okay, so what do you think? Do you think... Obviously, Harrison Ford's got to pass the torch somehow.
Eventually.
I mean, at this point. He's too old to just be Indiana. That's what I said when Crystal Skull came out, though.
And he just keeps getting grumpier.
He does get grumpier.
He was grumpy to begin with.
I mean, he's always been grumpy. But now it's just like, ugh, he's just a grumpy. He's literally a grumpy old man.
Grumpy old man.
He's a grumpy old man.
Had to grow into it.
Spoiler alerts for Force Awakens. They kind of killed Han Solo in that movie, which is something he's been pushing for a long time.
Killed him a little bit.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just tossed him into like an endless hole. Which, by the way, Star Wars just has so many endless holes. You know what I mean? Like, people are just falling.
Maybe Lucas knew someone in his childhood who fell down a hole, and that just always stuck with him.
Jeez, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you didn't, David.
Oh, jeez.
You didn't put yourself in George Lucas's shoes, did you?
I try not to. Is Shia LaBeouf going to be in Indiana Jones 5? That's my question.
Well, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
You're down?
I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Really? You're not going to watch Indiana Jones 5?
I'm probably going to watch it.
You're gonna watch it?
I'm going to watch it, even though I didn't like 4. Yeah, that's
theaters.
true. Yeah, we're going to go out to Alamo Draft House. Not a plug, not a sponsor.
But maybe in the future.
Yeah, hit us up. Hit it up, yo.
You know what? Let's try and get as many sponsors as we can. Alamo Draft House. We'll plug you every podcast in exchange for some free truffle popcorn.
Ooh, or
that's all it takes.
Or some other treat. Popcorn's gross. I don't know why so many people eat popcorn.
That's a good debate for later. Anyways, my point, I guess I was just trying to get at is, can Indiana Jones 5 be good? What do you think? What are the odds that it's?
I think it can be good. Anything has the potential to be good.
That's true.
But will they make it good? I don't think so. I don't think it will be good.
I don't think so either. I'm kind of seeing it's going to be the same thing that kind of happened with Force Awakens. There's going to be a rehash. There's going to be a passing of the torch to new characters. If it's Shia LaBeouf, which I'm down for, he wasn't the bad part of that movie.
Shia LaBeouf's a decent actor if you put him in the right role. That guy has some range.
And I really like just the non-acting stuff he's been doing lately.
Oh, yes.
That guy's he's an artist for sure.
Oh, yeah. Just like in life.
In life, yeah. He's living art, which is pretty crazy. But one thing that maybe you might have not known about is that there was going to be...
I bet I didn't know.
there was going to be an Indiana Jones 4 a long time ago, and there was a script written by Frank Darabont.
Did they just lose it?
Well, here's the thing. He wrote this thing. I think it was Indiana Jones and the City of the Gods.
The gods.
Which Frank Darabont wrote this thing. The guy who wrote Shawshank, did the first season of Walking Dead. I mean, immensely talented man.
Nice name too.
Frank Darabont is a name meant to be in movies.
Yeah, the name destined for greatness.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. City of the Gods apparently had a lot of the same features that ended up in Crystal Skull. Like, there were literally crystal skulls in the movie.
Okay.
And there was aliens. He brings back Marion, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with Indiana Jones, but she's the lady from the first Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the one who ends up coming back in Crystal Skull.
Nice.
As what was little Indiana Jones' name? What was Shia LaBeouf's name in that movie? It was like...
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was something ridiculous.
Dude. I don't even know.
I'm just gonna say Pug.
Not Short Round?
It was Pug Jones. That was his name.
Pug Jones.
Pug Jones. I'm pretty sure that was his name.
Kid Deanna Jones?
Kid Deanna Jones. Marion was his mother. And the point I'm getting at, though, is that Frank Darabont wrote the script, which I'm going to assume was a good script. Harrison Ford was down. Steven Spielberg was down. And guess who wasn't down for the script and shot it down? Take a guess.
Huh. Who wasn't down for the Frank Darabont script?
Who could it be who maybe meddles too much in his own?
Huh. Who is a known meddler who, let's see if I can put myself in this person's shoes, so to speak. Fall down into this hole of thought. Was it Lucas by chance?
It was Lucas.
Oh, go figure.
Go figure. Who to thunk it? So I'm kind of thinking...
David.
now that Lucas is out of the picture and Steven Spielberg is still slated to direct Indiana Jones 5, we have a pretty good chance of having a solid Indiana Jones movie.
I like things more when Lucas doesn't have his meddling little fingers in it.
Me too. Me too. I'm looking at you, original trilogy remasters. But the other part of me thinks, hey, if we're going to do Indiana Jones 5, does it have to be Harrison Ford? Can't we just cast a younger guy?
No, just write it in. He died somewhere somehow.
Well, I mean, I still want the Indiana Jones character in the 30s, punching Nazis in the face, but just get a different actor.
Being a little too rough with the ladies.
Exactly. Which, I mean, if you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark again, speaking of this Marion character, there's some serious undertones.
Well, even
Indiana
when they're
Jones
like
is a sexual predator.
when they're making their escape and Short Round is driving them out of there, and he's like he's straight up like fighting with this woman, and Short Round's reaction is no time for lovemaking, Mr. Jones. Like he's so used to this going on that he thinks he's just getting fresh with this lady.
Well, you're talking about Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, my favorite Indiana Jones. It's so over the top.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's great.
Kalima.
Not enough heart ripping in Indiana Jones, but
In
that
most
one
things.
filled the quota for sure. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on Star Wars Indiana Jones. I think we're gonna be. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. I think we'll be pleased with both, with 9 and 5. 9 to 5.
9 working 9 to 5.
Anyways,
That's all I know of that song.
I mean, that's all anyone knows of that song. Let's be honest.
I usually just sing that little excerpt. and
Even
quit.
Dolly Parton doesn't remember the rest of that song.
She probably doesn't remember a lot though.
You're probably right. Well, why don't you share one of these? That's interesting with us.
Oh, okay. So my first news story, definitely out of the realm of entertainment, a little bit more serious. Mine's on the Desiree Ferrouz conviction. I don't know if you've heard about this, David.
I haven't, and you probably should have looked up the pronunciation before we started.
I did. There were 3 different pronunciations.
fair
I
enough.
don't really remember any of them.
Fair
don't
enough.
remember. I did some research this time. I done researched it.
What?
Yeah, I applied myself. I
gosh.
sat down. I lollygagged a little bit, but I got it done.
Wow.
So Desiree Ferrouz is a Code Pink activist. Code Pink was founded in 2002. They're a grassroots effort. They're very much against the militarization of pretty much everything. They started to fight against the Iraq War, the Iraq-Afghanistan War. It's basically women-led. They fight for peace, human rights initiatives, and the redirection of tax dollars into healthcare, education, green jobs, and other life-affirming programs. And that's taken directly from their website at codepink.org. Well, she was arrested in January at the congressional confirmation hearing of beloved Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Yeah,
okay.
is this ringing a bell to you at all now?
I have heard about this.
Yeah,
yes.
she was arrested because, let's see, do I have the name of the senator here? No, I don't, because forget that guy. But a senator made a claim that Jeff Sessions has a long history, consistent history of treating all Americans fairly. This same senator once testified, the senator who made the claim also ran an ad against Jeff Sessions, claiming that Sessions referred to the KKK as good old boys. Sessions was also denied a federal judge appointment in the 80s due to concerns of racism. So not a great track record to be saying that he's unless you don't consider minorities Americans, not really treating all Americans the same.
Well, you might be giving a little too much credit to some of these people making these claims, but anyways, I'm sorry.
All right.
Continue.
So, no credit to those guys. Definitely being a little facetious there. So she was arrested for laughing at this claim. She just let out a laugh, as I probably would have too if I was sitting in there.
Oh, yeah.
Just like a bold-faced lie in front of the Senate, or in front of the Congress, excuse me. So she was arrested. The officer that made the arrest was, she's a rookie. That was her first arrest ever.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's definitely part of the controversy playing into this. A lot of the jurors say that a seasoned officer probably wouldn't have reacted the same way. She was convicted of this arrest, or like of these charges. The official charges are engaging in disorderly or disruptive conduct with intent to disrupt congressional proceedings, and a second charge of parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a congressional hearing. Yeah, and they convicted her. Some of the reasons that they said they had to convict her were that the laws are written in a very broad verbiage, that it was almost impossible not to convict her. They also said that they didn't convict her of the laughing, of the initial laugh, but how she acted while she was being removed. She made a little bit of a scene, but she was being removed because she was laughing at something that was ridiculous. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy, David. A little bit crazy. Her sentencing is scheduled in June, and she's facing possible jail time of up to 6 months and or a fine of $500. Thoughts?
Okay. Whoa. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Well, first off, I would like to think that today, in the era of the internet, where you can't get away with saying anything controversial without it being blown up all over the place.
Oh yeah, don't lie. We see you.
Don't lie. I mean, people are going to fact check you. And in this scenario, let's say she does get convicted.
Oh, she was convicted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's just awaiting sentencing.
Not convicted. Sorry, wrong choice of words. If she is sentenced and say she has to pay some fine, $500 or more or whatever, I could see like some Kickstarter being formed for this lady where people are just tossing money at her and she's going to end up like walking away.
Just be like a commissary queen in the slammer. Have like all the cups of noodles.
And I have faith in the good people of the internet, the silent majority.
Not that they're all good, but there are
some good people. Yeah. And I feel like whenever you hear a story about this, about someone facing some kind of injustice, people really band together and kind of join up in that. So that would be something awesome to see. On the other hand, and I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate, just to be clear, I totally don't agree with this. It really kind of goes against the basics of American rights about freedom of speech and being able to say something. But if you were in a court that was even shorter than a lesser court, and you're kind of causing some kind of ruckus,
yes,
you can be placed under arrest for contempt.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely a thought that I had. It was just a physical reaction. If you hear something that you find humorous, you're probably going to laugh.
Yeah. If I'm in a courtroom and I'm watching Futurama on my phone, listen to it, I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to be able to hold myself in.
Yeah, and I read that a few of the people who were also in the hearing, that for the most part, the laugh didn't disturb anything. Like most people were still listening to what's going on. Yeah.
Which is what I would expect. What I'm sort of guessing happened is obviously this person was just offended that someone dare laugh at them or these claims, and now they're going out of their way to make an example. But really, they're making an example out of themselves, showing that they're petty children, really.
True, and it seems... didn't want to throw out the F word, but yeah, a little bit fascist to just silence somebody for disagreeing with your bold-faced lies.
Very Orwellian. And it's crazy because these last few months, it feels more and more like I should have read 1984 more in high school.
Yeah,
like
a couple run-throughs.
I didn't get all the way through it. I spark noted it. I feel bad now. I feel like I could have learned something that would have been relevant to my life. But at the time, you kind of don't expect... I mean, you sort of always expect that the government can censor you in some way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially
this is America, baby.
I mean, we grew up with the Patriot Act.
What a funny name.
Yeah, right. And that's the perfect... that's Newspeak. that is 1984.
Yes. Branding like crazy.
It definitely is. And now it's just so much more in your face. And it's so...
In your face.
And it's so much clearer what's happening. I want to say I feel like this has to come to a boiling point eventually where people aren't going to... Like, already there's protesting.
It feels like a simmer already. It definitely feels like we're simmering.
Yeah, like I'm seeing little bubbles come up from the bottom. But it's going to reach a point where... And one of my stories is very related to this in a weird way.
That's interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. it just blows me away. The last thing I kind of want to mention on this is the law enforcement officer, which, first off, I'm surprised that a rookie cop is the one working the congressional hearing.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I'm totally not, in the loop with this, obviously, with, law enforcement procedures. But you think they would have someone, a little more seasoned, maybe ready to handle with a intense scenario, although Congress isn't typically the place where you...
Excuse that
where you
popping
hear all
sound.
these
I'm
things.
not sure what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Wow, we got to get these mics checked. But, and again, it's easy to hate on cops, given, especially because of the internet. We see these videos of cops abusing their power.
And personal experience, I'm just saying.
And it's a personal experience.
And I've actually dealt with a few rookie cops before.
Yeah.
And very gung-ho, very quick to jump to action that doesn't necessarily need to be taken.
And but here's the thing, though. I think that happens in almost every occupation.
Oh, for sure.
For instance, I'm in the process of being a teacher. I've seen some student teachers, in class who are doing examples and things like that.
And they just punch a kid in the face.
Well, not that, but they don't understand how to properly take disciplinary actions that's going to benefit the scenario. They're really kind of I need to prove myself right now, and I'm not.
Discipline's a hard thing to do for most people.
It really is. It's one of the most difficult things to do. When you place someone in a role, though, where they have the ability to arrest someone, it's really just heightening the whole circumstance. So I definitely don't want to discredit cops, because I feel like, hey, there are a ton of good cops, and we see the bad ones is the ones that we see the most.
Oh yeah, you don't with the exception of a few YouTube videos or Instagram videos, yeah, you really don't get to see the good cops.
Yeah, you really don't. Except, yeah, and it's what you're saying. There's always that Facebook video oh, this cop is passing out ice cream instead of traffic
this
tickets.
cop is playing b-ball with these little inner city youths.
Yeah, which is awesome. And cops should be involved in their community. They should know their community, and that's really going to lessen a lot of these kind of things, if the police reflect the community that they're in.
Yeah, be part of the community that you are supposed to be protecting and serving. It definitely makes a huge difference.
Yeah. In this circumstance, though, I can blame the cop, and I can also at the same time, understand that it's their first arrest.
Mm-hmm.
They're in this scenario where, they're surrounded by people in high power, and obviously there's some pressure on them to, get this person out of there. Maybe they definitely made the wrong call. I'm just really hoping if this lady sees some kind of jail time, it's going to be an even more serious issue. Not that it's already not a serious issue. It's an alarming.
Yeah,
it's an alarming turn of events.
Alarming is a really good way to describe it.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy times we're living in. Crazy times.
Crazy.
Is there anything else you want to toss in on this, or?
No, that's pretty much all I got for that one. Just a little rundown. I thought it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that, since we're both not super politically involved, but definitely aware, at least aware.
Slightly woke.
A little groggy.
A little bit groggy, still waiting for that first cup of coffee. Well, my story, my second one, is sort of tied to what's going on here.
How nice.
And it's a long shot to tie it, but have you heard about Trump signing an executive order today?
Oh, he loves his executive orders. He just slams those things out.
And I like how he has to show everyone what he signed. Look what
I did. I'm the president.
Can we put this one on the fridge? This one he signed today is a religious liberty executive order, which
I like the sound of that, but I feel like
it's
another branding issue, like the Patriot Act.
You are 100% correct. It's also National Prayer Day, which I thought was interesting. So he signed this executive order as kind of part of that, or at least to conceal to this brand.
Okay.
Basically, with the religious liberty executive order that he's signing, businesses are going to be able to deny service based on religious beliefs. So we already been through this. It feels like it was just yesterday, but with those bakers who refused to make the cake for this homosexual couple, and now they would be in the right if this happened today.
Just legally totally fine, just being bigots.
Yeah. And I 100% appreciate the right to religious freedom in the United States. It's something that makes our country like incredible compared to other countries. There are countries where you can't celebrate your religion
Or
without
it'll
getting
be-
beheaded.
Yeah, yeah.
We can celebrate.
People literally lose their heads over
Literally,
it.
we can celebrate any religion we want. We can meet and worship with any denomination you want. That's an amazing thing.
We just got to work on the freedom of and from a religion a little bit.
And I feel like this sort of law, it's pertaining to one side.
Oh, definitely.
It's
There was one side in thought, like when in the intention of this executive order, he was definitely picking a side.
And at the same time, similar to the cop thing, there are a ton of amazing churches who do
definitely
awesome work in the community.
And even the parishioners within the church, there's a lot of great people.
Exactly.
I've known a lot of great religious people.
I mean, I work with a ton of them. They're amazing. And the ministries that they have are amazing. But this is promoting that sect that's looking to take away other people's rights.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes in.
Imposing their religious beliefs on other people who may not exactly agree with that.
Well, this little executive order he signed, though, it's got a second half to it, which...
Oh, part 2.
Part 2, which is...
Sequels are so hot right now.
They are hot right now. Expanded universes. This one's worse. This part is worse. Trump promised during the campaign to dismantle the Johnson Amendment, which if you're not familiar with the Johnson Amendment...
hit me with it. I'm refreshing me on the... I know, but let the listeners know.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
This bans tax-exempt organizations like churches from having political speech and activities involved in politics. So basically, before today, you couldn't go to a church where the church is showing or deliberately promoting a political candidate. And the main issue there is that churches are tax-exempt because there's a separation between church and state. And that's 100% okay. But now you're going to have some of these groups who are promoting certain religious, or certain political leaders.
Well, they will be promoting certain religious
they'll
leaders
also
as
be
well.
promoting
Yeah.
certain religious leaders. But the other part of this, the one that's worse, is activities. So you can have these church organizations who are getting money tax exempt.
That tax-free money, baby.
Exactly. And they're going to be able to put this towards political campaigns. So we already had enough money in politics. Now we're getting this untaxed money from politics, which is kind of going to be under the guise of being, religious fundraisers and things like that. The whole thing just makes me feel very uncomfortable. And it's going to be these really intense conservative churches who are looking to oppose the rights of other people. So kind of similar to the story you were bringing up. It's just another way that these small groups of people are going to have their rights taken away. And it's only a matter of time until all those tiny small groups are going to be looking at like a bigger picture. Like all of us are losing these rights. And it's already happening. It's already happening in the United States, which part of me is very excited about. The other part of me is incredibly anxious about it.
Oh, this administration makes me all kinds of anxious. Everything I was reading, just trying to research, grabbing a couple of news stories, it was like... was so hopeful for our country to go in this new, beautiful direction, and we're just doing the exact opposite of so many things that I hoped for our country.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying I have all the answers. Like, I'm just some idiot.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously, we're not politicians, or we're not proposing, hey, let's do... But here's my proposal. Let's not take away rights from people.
I do.
Yes, I am.
I do.
Wait till next week's podcast.
We're going to have to find a nice company to make us a cake, though. Somebody who's down.
Oh, geez. We're not going to be able to now. We're out of luck. They just signed it today, Frank.
There's got to be some heathen baker somewhere.
I'm sure. But he probably doesn't bake that well.
I bet it's delicious. Because he
I'm
bakes with science.
Exact measurements in his baking.
Just real precise and factual.
Sometimes in baking, though, you can't go precise. You got to go, okay, this pinch feels right. This little swig of milk feels right.
No,
I mean, this is totally off base.
Yeah,
but...
baking is a science. Cooking is an art. Cooking, you can add a dash, but
that.
baking's very scientific.
Yeah, you can really mess something up, even if you put the ingredients in the wrong order.
Yeah, true that.
Oh, gosh. Nah, you know what? we're gonna bake a cake. You're gonna do it with precise measurements.
I'll do science. You'll have
I'm gonna be like, oh,
a little bit of a jazz
milk.
cake,
and then we'll get a panel of people and we'll figure it out. Send us an email with your address, and we'll send you a piece of this cake in the mail. It won't be labeled. You have to try both.
Just try to take the consideration that this cake has been mailed. It's been sitting in a mail truck and through sorting rooms, and try to just take that factor out of your mind while you're.
We'll put a couple ice cubes in there with it.
That should take care of it.
I think so.
That should do it.
I think it'll be good. All right. Do you have another? Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I sure better have another. Oh, that's interesting. This one I'm pretty excited about. It's definitely weird. You know, I like to get weird. So I found this story, this event, this happening to be very interesting. This is about Gatebox. Have you heard of Gatebox yet, David?
I have not.
Oh, I was hoping so much that you hadn't heard about it. I can't wait to tell you about it. Excuse me. I'm a little bit allergy ridden right now.
Dusty.
Apologize for the sniffles and so much dust. Gatebox is an AI hologram companion.
Oh no.
Enclosed in a little glass tube. It sits about 18, 24 inches tall. Features an anime character named Azuma Hikari. This cute little anime girl. And I'm not saying I think she's cute. That's what they were going for.
You already said it, Frank.
David, you know how I feel about anime.
You love them.
You know this.
Just the
man.
ladies. Just the anime ladies.
All right. Gatebox can be connected to your home network to control your lights. She will be your wake-up alarm. She also controls all the other like smart functions of your house. That's like a new thing, smart houses. My house is dumb. It's not smart at all. She'll also send you cutesy little text messages throughout the day. Just like, oh, hey, baby.
Interesting.
It definitely, some of the, I heard about this originally in a Vice News Tonight episode. The creators, one of the really good points that they made was they have one of the customers in like the beta run who was a PTSD sufferer. He suffered a lot, like really intensely from PTSD. Couldn't really like communicate with other people, very much a shut-in, and this helped him start to communicate again. So that's kind of cool. Also, on the other side of things, there's the millions and millions of lonely Japanese men. And if you hadn't guessed already, this is coming out of Japan. I felt I didn't even need to.
Really? Japan?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed.
Go figure. That's what happens when you drop two big bombs on a country.
Too soon.
Too soon?
I'm just going to throw a too soon in every week.
Well, I kind of go for too soon. I try to get it while it's hot.
It'll be really easy for me to toss it in every week.
Salting the wound doesn't work as well when it's scabbed over. You got to hit it while it's fresh.
That's an excellent analogy.
Yeah, nailed it. It also makes that wound nice and tasty. So you got this little cutesy anime character in there. She has two voice options. She has her own distinct personality, hobbies, likes and dislikes, and even aspirations.
But how many outfits does she have? That's the question our listeners are asking.
I know for sure she has a little like nighty like sleep outfit that I saw in the video. She sleeps in this weird little bed and she says like good night to you and stuff. Wow. And it's definitely like a little bit less of a companion and more of like a creepy girlfriend.
Interesting.
And you can have a Gatebox. Not yet. It's launching in December 2017. Still a ways off. From this.
I mean, not that ways off, though.
I mean, we're in the future, so it makes sense that it's already happening.
Future.
Yeah, the future. $3,000 for us Americans with the shipping and everything. To our overseas friends, they're only running about $2,500, so about $500 for the shipping. It's a lot of shipping, if you ask me. It's a whole lot of shipping. And then, of course, I also thought it was important to mention that all her interactions are PG-13.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not the creepiest thing that's come out of Japan.
I'm going to say that if someone's going to spend $3,000 on this thing, there's going to be an online community that obviously makes this thing not PG-13.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to go into the details of what's going to happen with it.
It is going to be hacked.
It's going to be so hacked. so quickly. There's going to be a giant online community about it. Apologies to our listeners. That's my dog who's losing it.
Our special guest appearance, Meryl. Come here, Mer. Come chill.
She's our mascot. She's our mascot. Oh, not into the mic, Meryl.
That's a good point, Mer.
Anyways, the other thing, though, about this... okay, so first off, Japan, totally not surprising. Japan has...
Can you be surprised by Japan at this point?
You really can't. It has a record... It has a record low birth rate right now. I don't know if you've heard about this in Japan, but they're not having babies. People are dying quicker than they're having children. And that's
people
because,
straight up just drop dead of exhaustion and being overworked over there.
That's exactly
like
what I was
young,
getting at.
healthy dudes.
Because these guys are concerned with their careers 100%. Some of them are working like 20-hour days. It's a very competitive job market. And some of them don't have time to kind of pursue this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it makes sense in a weird future way that this would happen. It's inevitable. People have been talking about it forever.
It was only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. And it sort of ties into last week's discussion about social media and how we've forgotten to talk about each other, or forgot to talk to each other.
Yeah.
This is sort of the next step where you won't have to talk to anybody ever.
You don't even have to try.
You don't have to try. This person will just give you whatever positive reinforcement you're looking for. And the second thing that I kind of thought about this, if you are some lonely guy who obviously, for some reason or another can't connect to someone else socially or emotionally.
Are you talking about me right now?
I am talking about you right now. $3,000 isn't that bad of a deal. If you have nothing else going on in your life, you're committed to not talking to anyone.
$3,000 can buy so much cool stuff, though.
It really can, but to a person, at least I think in that mindset, $3,000 isn't their biggest concern.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not really there yet.
I'm obviously not there, but it just it's gonna happen. It's gonna be something.
It's happening. December
it's happening
2017.
right now. But I'm saying in the future, it's gonna be something we see more and more of. It kind of reminds me of that one movie, Her. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah,
Did we watch it
Her
together?
We might have.
We might. Who knows?
We definitely might have.
That's a good movie. Which also kind of, if you're thinking, wow, this is disgusting, that movie sort of like flips. It plays with your emotions a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Because she does seem like a living, breathing person with a personality, which, we could do a whole podcast about artificial intelligence. We probably will.
I think we kicked that idea around a little bit.
We
actually.
totally did.
Yeah.
It's very terrifying. And
I've seen Terminator.
I've seen The Matrix.
I know how that works out in the end.
I've seen iRobot too many times on TV. It never, in all three of those movies.
Did you watch it like twice? That's too many times.
Shia LaBeouf, hey, come back. This is like a side thing, but iRobot's one of those movies where you're at home during the summer. You're on summer vacation. It's playing on whatever syndicated cable network.
TNT.
And you
watch it on TNT.
Let's be honest, it's TNT. Not a sponsor, but just throwing it out there, Ted Turner.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. All we'll take is some truffle popcorn for a sponsorship. iRobot, though, apparently the book's a lot better, which is like a classic Russian sci-fi story.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I bet it's cold.
I wonder why. Yeah, so it's creepy, but at this point, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in the least bit.
Just a short little interjection.
Yeah.
Just because we were talking about AI movies, my favorite AI movie is AI. So sad.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, that'll wrench your gut, man.
Every time I think about that movie, it just like tears me up inside.
Oh boy, when the mom like drives him out to the woods to just abandon him like a dog.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
Ooh. If we're going favorite AI movies, I would feel totally. I feel cheap saying mine is also AI, but it's probably pretty up there.
Yeah. It's good.
I got good love.
Get good.
I got a lot of love for the first Matrix movie. Like, it's a really good movie.
It's entertaining. The video game looks terrible. I played so much of it.
Into the Matrix?
Yeah.
Probably one of the worst successful games of all time. It's not a good game.
Besides Halo.
And everyone okay, so we're going to be planning debates in the future, and Halo is definitely going on the list.
Popcorn,
Halo. anime. We've already listed off all the topics. Let's see how many more we can get in this podcast. Okay, well, are you good on your creepy?
Yeah. That's all I got for Gatebox. What else can you say?
Obvious jokes about the name. So the last ones I got for you, is the Daddy 05 story.
Daddy 05.
Which
should just call it like
Daddy 03 now.
Nailed it.
Thank you, Zing. Okay, so if you haven't heard about this story, basically Daddy 05 is a YouTube prankster. Which I'm just going to preface this story with saying that...
You should have hit the air quotes. Even though they can't see the air quotes, like there should have been some air quotes.
Now they know I didn't do the air quotes. Thank you, Franklin.
I will. If you fail, I will call it out.
Yeah, fair enough. We're trying to bring honest information to you, the listener, and we can't do that if we're not honest with each other.
Hey, you listener. I see you out there.
Well, you don't. You don't, Frank. I'm being honest.
I feel you.
So, the preface to this little story, YouTube pranksters are the lowest form of entertainment.
I like the couple pranksters though, the couples that prank each other, because they're a little bit ruthless.
I can't even go that far. I just feel like it's just bad content.
Yeah, it's like posting your abusive relationship online. I love it.
The couple one, I can somewhat side with you a little bit, because in that scenario, the couples both understand what's going on. But in too many of these prank videos, it's like some guy who's, I don't know, dressed up as like a terrifying clown and smashing people or something. And it's just innocent people who don't know what's going on. They didn't agree to be in this podcast. In this YouTube video. A prankster podcast.
They also did not agree to be in this podcast.
No, Daddy 05 definitely didn't. But I'm sure he's in a lot of people's podcasts right now. So this guy his channel had 762,000 subscribers.
Too many.
762,000 more subscribers than we have, Frank. Think about that.
Many more.
Anyways, so these prank videos, he's been doing them for a long time, and he's been coming under heavy criticism, where basically him and his wife, and they prank their 5 children. That's where the title comes in.
Air quotes, prank.
And these pranks are pretty much like emotional abuse.
Yeah,
there's really no other way to put it.
Yeah, emotional child abuse.
So people have been commenting for a long time saying, hey, you're abusive, yada, yada, yada. You're a terrible parent. And he's been saying, hey, all of these are staged. The kids are in on it.
It's comedy.
It's comedy, bro. It's just a prank, bro.
What is he? Yeah, isn't that what he tells the kid? It's just a prank, brah.
He literally says brah, which is even worse.
Brah.
So in this latest video, which he's gotten into a lot of trouble with, and it was basically brought to the spotlight by a pretty famous YouTuber, Philip DeFranco. And I say pretty famous as being like, he's very, very famous. Millions of people watch his videos.
Oh, so famous.
This video, actually, where Philip DeFranco is calling out this family, it's been viewed 3.8 million times. So he's calling these people out, basically saying
3.8 million more views than we have listens.
Hey, we have like 5 now, so 3.
Nice.
I'm not gonna do the math.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know how I am with math. Not great.
Yeah. That's a good story.
I'm better with lactose than I am math.
And I hear you're pretty intolerant with lactose.
It can't stand it.
So Philip DeFranco calls this guy out, and now it's become almost like a national spotlight. If you haven't checked this video out, go on YouTube. Just don't watch it on this awful guy's channel.
Yeah, don't give that
05,
guy any more views.
Which I want to say they've been taken down. And
yeah,
YouTube has actually flagged a bunch of
believe.
his videos, removed a bunch of his content, and 2 of his kids, and one of them being the
from a previous relationship. But one of them being the victim of this
latest prank. That if you watch the video, basically they're just like aggressively cursing at this little kid.
Oh, that kid looks like his world is being crushed.
Yeah. And it's just really not, because they're doing irreparable damage to this child.
Oh, lasting forever.
Yeah, his entire social skills with humans will be different because of what these people have done.
Like a bunch of poor ladies are going to have to deal with the consequences of this kid's being screamed at by his parents.
That's true. So luckily, the story has somewhat of a happy ending. The biological mom of these two kids,
Bio mom,
have gotten she's gotten emergency custody of them. So these kids are thankfully not in. Hence the Daddy 03 joke. Hey, the part that gets me the most, and maybe you haven't heard about this, Daddy 05 actually sent out a tweet to DeFranco, the YouTuber, saying, and here are the quotes. I'm doing the quotes.
Oh, you did. He's not lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. He did the quotes.
I don't understand how DeFranco gets all this love for destroying a happy family and destroying our way of life.
That family did not look very happy to me.
Maybe the two of them were, the mom and the dad, but the kids definitely weren't. So let me get your input on this. What do you think about this story?
I mean, I think like good for those two kids that they don't have to live in that terrible, terrible house anymore. They had that apology video. I don't know if you got to see it, where they were saying that they definitely made the mistake.
I saw clips of it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I just feel really bad for those kids. I feel really bad for the 3 kids still left in the house who have to deal with these two horrible people.
Which, I mean, I've never seen any of these videos before this controversy. It looked like in the video I saw, though, that the other kids are older.
Well, forget
one of them
them
looked like a teenager. Well, not to forget them, but maybe they're going to be better equipped.
You only have to treat your kids nice for a certain amount of time, and then you can start doing whatever you want to them.
There is some.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not a parent, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
We should write a parenting book, having no experience whatsoever.
I feel like we're more qualified than Bill Cosby.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even gonna touch that one. I won't even say too soon because it wasn't soon enough for Bill Cosby. Not soon enough.
You got to dig into him immediately.
Oh yeah. What a scumbag. Just like this guy, Daddy 05.
A bag of dirt.
It's just awful to hear these things, and the part that gets me too is he's saying, "Hey, it's just a prank. It's just a prank. Oh, all this is staged." And now they're doing this apology video. And they're admitting we've made bad parenting decisions.
Yeah.
And we've done things that weren't right. They've known this whole time. But what were they concerned with? With that sweet
did
YouTube
they know,
money.
or are they just apologizing because everybody's mad at them now?
Are you sorry, or are you sorry you just got caught?
Exactly.
It's the latter. Well, that's pretty much all I want to say about this guy. I mean, I have no other words for Daddy 05. Slap us with one more. Oh, that's interesting.
All right. So my next little news story is about MDMA assisted psychotherapy.
Oh my gosh.
Where did I see this originally? It might have just been like a thumbnail. I feel like it was a thumbnail on something else I was reading. And
is MDMA a hip hop group from the 90s?
No, they are not. I mean, they might be. They might have never hit it big. There's definitely a chance that MDMA might be a hip hop group from the 90s. For those of you that don't know, MDMA is the this is like clinical prescription grade MDMA. It's completely pure. They make it in a lab full of dudes with white coats, and I'm assuming tiny little beards. You know what I mean? That's just how I picture scientists. Maybe some little round glasses. Definitely some pens in their pocket. Getting too caught in this. I originally found out about this through a YouTube channel called Psych Substances. If you haven't seen him, check him out. The guy's very informative. The group that is doing most of the research and the push for this to be passed as like a legal therapy is a group called MAPS. MAPS stands for Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. It's based out of Santa Cruz. It's a not-for-profit, and they are putting the work in on this effort. Sorry, I'm a little bit burpy right now. Sorry for the pauses. I want to burp right into the microphone. I might burp into the microphone on the next one. It might feel a little bit more authentic. Yeah, I'm going for it.
Let's not lie to our listeners. We've already been over this.
I might lie to you, but I promise I didn't mean it, baby. I love you. Baby, you know I love you. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So they're applying this treatment to, at least there's other uses for it, but they're basically applying it to PTSD treatments. And I didn't mean to like put them together. I think we talked about PTSD a little bit earlier. I can't remember where PTSD entered in here. With Gatebox. Yeah, how funny. But they're using it in PTSD treatments in conjunction with long talking therapy. They do these sessions 3 times. They dose them once a month, and then intermediately between those dosing sessions, they just do regular psychotherapy sessions without the dosing. And for those of you that don't know, I could see where this would benefit because MDMA has the tendency to release inhibitions. It strengthens the not really bond, but it makes you feel closer to whoever you're talking to for sure.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where the therapeutic stuff has come into play. MAPS has funded 6 phase 2 studies, including 136 patients. One of these studies out of South Carolina included 20 patients, most of them being sexual abuse victims suffering from symptoms they were suffering their symptoms for over 19 years. And a lot of the time when you say PTSD, you think of like veterans and stuff. It is a big part of that, but you can get PTSD from a lot of traumatic events. You know what I'm saying? Sexual abuse is definitely one of those. Yeah, so this was a placebo-based study. They dosed everybody got the same treatment as far as the psychotherapy goes. Some people were dosed with the MDMA, some people were not dosed with the MDMA. Out of those dosed, 83% of those patients no longer met the criteria for PTSD after being treated, compared to 25% who only got the psychotherapy. And these were lasting effects over years. They've been working on this for a while. So yeah, there's definitely some I was trying to think of some colloquialism here, but I'm not getting it. It's just not coming out of my brain. But there's credence to these ideas. You know what I mean? It's definitely helping some people out. MAPS was actually given the approval from the FDA for their final phase 3 testing of this. And they are on track to have this all the way through by 2021. It should be like a legalized prescribed substance. And I'm not saying they're going to prescribe it like you go down to Walgreens and you pick up your MDMA and you go home and take it. It's going to be administered during your psychotherapy sessions. So yeah, patient recruitment starts in June of 17 for that 3rd phase of rounds. Pending the positive results upon completion of phase 3, the drug's going to be good to go. You know what I'm saying? As long as all the results are there. And there's not a lot of resistance from legislators, which is crazy. And this will be in effect in the U.S. and our friendly neighbors to the north, Canada.
Canada, the proud Canadan people.
Yes. Thoughts, David?
Well, first off, Canada's just they've got their stuff together right now. They're really just living the polar opposite.
They put gravy on their fries, David. I want gravy on my fries.
Well, I just want some Justin Trudeau down here. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh, I see you, boo.
Can we trade? Is that possible? Tradesies?
They probably won't trade us.
I mean, why would they trade us? In all seriousness, though, it is good to see that we're seeing just actual scientific studies, and it's pretty hard to argue with 83% versus 25.
Yeah, 83% versus 25. Those are great numbers.
Obviously with every statistic, there can be more variables in it than maybe at surface level we don't totally understand. But
and that's definitely part of phase 3. Phase 3, that final phase of FDA testing has to be a lot broader over a longer period of time. That's why this isn't looking to go through till 2021, which isn't that far away now that I think about it.
It really isn't, because we're living in the future.
My goodness.
The part that kind of concerns me, though, is with this healthcare bill that's also was passed today, May 4th.
Oh, boy.
Did you hear about this thing going on today?
Yeah, I did.
And basically, there's going to be a bunch of pre-existing conditions. I've been scrolling through my phone trying to find it.
Scroll through that phone. I left my phone in the other room because I'm a professional, but I also can't do research on the fly. So.
Well, you have a laptop, though.
Yeah, I just don't want to use it and mess up the recordings. I'm going to hit a button, and it's just going to...
That does sound
ruin
awful.
it. I'll ruin it.
Well, basically, a Republican House voted on a healthcare reform today where there's going to be a ton of new things that qualify as pre-existing conditions that are going to keep you from proper healthcare coverage.
Is being poor one of them?
Well, essentially. Some of these that are on here that are just... And they have some of these highlighted. This is actually off Bernie Sanders page. Bernie, anxiety, depression.
That makes me so anxious.
I know, right? Acne is one of them.
What?
Pregnancy is one of them.
Well,
so there's so like women who are suffering from postpartum depression might not be able to get covered. And I'm not saying they're going to be the ones who are interested in this kind of treatment, but it does make me nervous, especially going back to Jeff Sessions, who's totally against things that are scheduled as controlled substances, like MDMA, which can make a very dangerous drug. But
see, like MDMA isn't the dangerous part. It's like street ecstasy. Most of it doesn't even contain MDMA, and it's based off of like harsher chemicals.
I could be wrong, but isn't Molly made out of MDMA?
Yeah, Molly's a lot purer.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of,
And I base that off of research.
There's really just... We need to get to a point to where we can just have research,
some honest facts,
some studies about things, and not be afraid or not be tied down politically to be going against it. And I'm not saying that it needs to be legal for everyone. Everyone should be able to go out and get it.
No, but some of these chemicals have uses. Yeah,
exactly. And we've already seen, with medicinal marijuana in some states where they've been using it to treat soldiers with PTSD, and they're seeing better results in some cases than some of these opioid drugs, which the United States has an intense opioid addiction problem now.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's because we're
a lot of those start off with prescriptions.
Exactly. And then they can't get their prescription anymore, and then they're turning to street drugs, and it's just becoming a problem. Whereas if we're
going to look like Russia soon.
We're creating our own drug problems by not letting people do actual studies in clinics on drugs.
Is that what they want, though, David?
I mean, we could really get into it, but, like private prisons, and there's so many facets to it.
Some other time.
It could be a whole other podcast.
Oh, for sure.
I'm for it, though. I'm for what's ever going to help people. And we just need to keep an open mind and be able to have studies about it. If not, why bother? I don't know. But while I am excited about the information you gave me, given the current administration and kind of the climate we've been seeing, it does make me nervous that maybe we're not going to see this stage 3, which is still a few years down the line.
Well, stage 3 is actually starting this year.
I'm sorry, but the results you were saying were in 2020 or...
Well, they have to run these trials for a few years so they can get a broad selection of patients and then actually see the lasting results of this therapy.
Yeah. Well, if we're still podcasting in 2020, we'll definitely have to update the story.
Or if the machines haven't taken over.
Oh, back to AI, right? Well, thank you for sharing that, Frank. Oh, that was interesting.
Oh, you can... Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry I didn't wrap it.
No, it's okay. So I hear that you have... For our listeners, if you are only listening... If you're just tuning in to the second podcast, you should really go back and just hear the first one. I mean, you're only one behind right now. It's really not that bad.
Just do it. Come on, just listen to it.
Sometimes when you listen to a podcast and there's like 90 previous... it's like, okay, I understand. Don't listen to all
There's
of them.
one.
There's one. You can do it, please. So... Last week, I kind of sprung a topic on Frank about social media, kind of the effects of it. And this week, we're turning the tables, and Frank is springing a topic on me.
We're going to have to come up with a name for this segment.
We will. If you have a clever name, leave us a comment.
Do it.
Do it, please.
Just, we need help.
We really do. We already came up with Peeps and Predicaments, and that's interesting. We're maxing out our cleverness.
We only have so many clever names in our craniums.
No.
Okay. So my surprise topic for you this week, David, my friend, my co-podcaster.
Oh.
Mi hombre.
Oh.
Has to do with the Dakota Access Pipeline, specifically some vandalism that just occurred in the Dakota Access Pipeline.
I haven't heard about this. To be honest, I've kind of fallen off this topic a little bit. Enlighten me.
That's part of the reason I'm bringing this up. It was a big deal. There's still injustices being done. And the mainstream media just kind of forgot about this. That's kind of why I wanted to bring up this topic. Some machinery and a structure were set on fire last Thursday. They're not sure who did it. But it was somebody who doesn't agree with the Dakota Access Pipeline. That's just my detective skills at work. And I just, in my notes here, I see that I commented that it was super publicized at the beginning of this. There were just constant news stories going on about these protests. The bad guys won. Obama. He kind of shut it down. The Obama administration shut it down, and then Trump came into office, and he was like, "Nah, pump that oil. Go, pump it, pump it, pump it, America." Yeah. So the construction is moving on this thing. Seeing how the construction of this pipeline violates an 1851 treaty, being the Treaty of Fort Laramie, and it stands to desecrate 380 archaeological sites, David. 380 archaeological sites.
Okay.
They already bulldozed like a sacred burial ground, like at the beginning of this thing, when we were still paying attention. Along its route is just going to level all these archaeological sites, sacred sites to these people, just bulldozing over their heritage, really. You know what I mean? The little bit of heritage we let them hold on to begin with.
Yeah.
Not been treating the indigenous peoples of America very great. I don't know if you know of our track history.
I think most of us do. I hope. Well,
hopefully.
I'll get into that right now. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So seeing how this violates a treaty is destroying a lot of the archaeological sites, which should really be a treasure to all Americans. You know what I mean? Like it's part of our history. Wanted to get your take on, I don't want to say the indigenous people's efforts resorting to violence, but just people against this resorting to violence. We don't know if it was somebody indigenous or just an ally of them. Seeing how these efforts are resorting to what I'll call vigilantism. Just I feel more comfortable with that term than vandalism.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that as far, not so much legally. We know legally they're in the wrong, but ethically, what do you think?
Ethically. Okay. Well, first off, I do feel somewhat ashamed that I haven't been keeping up with Dakota Access Pipeline. Particularly during the election season.
Oh, there's so much going on.
It was way more spotlighted, and I feel that you and I knew about it, and we were watching coverage on it.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't want to make a lot of assumptions, but I want to say that we might have heard more than a large group of Americans. Maybe not necessarily the majority, but there are people who don't even realize that we're breaking some treaty by going through this Dakota Access Pipeline.
Yeah, definitely. Like the American government signed a deal. We already, part of that was like giving them their section of land, and we already just why don't we just do this smaller chunk? Why don't we just do this smaller chunk? So we've already screwed them over on it a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, the original, we took all the land.
Yeah.
So
just snatched it right up.
We just snatched it. So
I didn't.
I mean, yeah, we didn't, but our ancestors. Well, maybe not even. Well,
I still have to do that like ancestry genealogy thing to see where I come from.
Go to Ancestry.com.
And then I'll get all kinds of like active in the indigenous efforts.
Then we find out for sure. But it's now that I feel like I'm out of the loop on this topic. I feel like I'm not doing my civic duty to understand this. I had a conversation with a group of adults, maybe 4 months ago, and I say adults because we're in our mid-20s, and sometimes we're not viewed as being as adulty as, say, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds.
I agree with that.
And
I don't like adulting.
Well,
it hurts so my soul.
It's not the adulting aspect of it, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but every major phase of your life, there's always going to be a group of people who are like, you're just a little kid. You're going to be like 60 years old complaining about your back, and there's going to be some 80-year-old person who's like, you're still just a kid.
I already complain about my back so much.
Well, you're still just a kid, Frank. So,
and I know that it's not fair.
It really gets to me, and I feel like, so I was having this conversation with this group of people, and they were saying, okay, well, first off, there's a ton of pipelines in the United States already. What's the big deal with another pipeline? It's like, okay, well, there's a couple big deals. First big deal is it's past one of the major water sources in the area.
Yeah.
And, okay, sure, there are other pipelines, but that's like, I've just got shot 3 times. Why don't I get shot again? It's like, well, no.
Yeah, what's another bullet? It'll give you more street cred.
Well, maybe it would. Tupac would be proud. But we're increasing the strain on our environment. And we've seen time and time again with these pipelines that they eventually burst. And then people's
That's
response
what they
to
do,
that,
baby.
oh, well, it's, modern technology. It's the high. Well, it's like every pipeline at the time was the peak of technology. And they're still bursting. It's not going to happen. We need to get away from fossil fuels. But again, this goes back into the political aspect and money and politics, which it's a bigger issue than just switching. There's a lot of interests who are pitching in on this thing. But the biggest part to me is that we made a treaty and we're going back on that treaty. And what really gets to me...
Would you call it Indian giving?
I was just about to say that.
Which is a terrible name.
Is that we have the audacity to call Native Americans Indian givers.
Yes.
We've literally taken everything from them and then continue to take more after making an agreement. So, as to your point about the vigilantism, I think it's a matter of history to tell whether or not something's ethical.
True.
To me right now, yes, it's ethical. We're on their land. We are not welcome there, and we're not supposed to be building things.
They've made it very clear that we're not welcome.
Very clear. They are their own nation. They're their own nation. They can make these decisions. And the United States is basically acting like a bully to just get its way with this scenario, because they know that what are they going to do? How are they going to really stop it if we just roll in with militarized police and build this thing? How are they going to stop it? They're not going to be able to.
We'll just stick the dogs on them.
Exactly. We're just going to spray them with water hoses in below freezing temperatures. So, what I'm trying to get at though is I hear a lot of people. I feel like every topic just keeps me bashing conservatives. I hear a lot of voices on a certain right-wing side saying, well, violence isn't the answer in these protests, and they're becoming violent, they're becoming, raucous, and now we have to shut this down now because it's becoming dangerous. It's like, if you really look at the history of the United States, everything that got accomplished eventually had some degree of violence, and
most things in world history.
Yeah, if you even go further. But I'm talking specifically our nation's identity.
Yeah.
If you look at civil rights movement, yes, there were peaceful protests, Martin Luther King, peaceful protester, assembling all these movements, but we had all these different groups during that same era that were going towards the same thing. We recently watched that documentary about people breaking into the CIA offices and stealing files that the government was
called?
keeping.
1971, right?
1971.
Yeah, check it out if you haven't checked it out yet.
Cool documentary.
Yeah, very awesome. Good watch.
It's on Netflix. Not a sponsor.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Let's go back even further. You could.
Are we getting in a little time machine right now?
We're getting a little time machine. I was gonna say Magic School Bus, but did the Magic School Bus go through time?
It probably could have.
It probably could. It was magic. The Civil War is another great example. The country is against each other, and eventually it ended in violence. It's not the best thing. If you look back, let's look at the birth of the nation. The Boston Tea Party, like this celebrated event in American history where it was like, we're standing up to oppression. What was it? It was vandalism.
Yeah, straight up.
It was theft and vandalism. There's no other way to put it.
And they dressed up like Native Americans.
And they dressed up as Native Americans. And imagine if we didn't win the American Revolution and we were all speaking with a British accent right now.
I like tea.
I like tea too. But we would be looking back at that point in history and saying, oh, and then these, vandals came in and destroyed government property and the government had to shut the situation down.
Definitely.
So depending on how this ends up, that's how it'll be reported in the history books, because the history books is always written from the perspective of the victor.
And the testing board.
And the test and the AP testing board.
Yeah.
To make sure they're matching all the teaks. I don't know. I want to say we know better, but we obviously don't. And time and time, and this has been the theme of the podcast.
We should know better.
We should
know better. Yeah,
it's really embarrassing. At the same time, we're so far away from this area that I honestly wish that we could join in these protests.
Oh, yeah, I've thought that a few times. Sorry about the noises here. It seems that my mic has gotten lower as the podcast has gone on, and I just have to readjust it.
Just sink lower in the seat.
I did, and now it's just, I was sinking, and my back, as I mentioned before, is not great, and it was really just starting to take a toll.
It's because I made you conscious. We're going to have to all do our part. And it might not be in this circumstance, and this ties back to what I was kind of saying earlier. There's all these groups of people who are slowly getting their rights taken away, and we're going to come to a boiling point. It's going to come to a point where these groups are going to join together, and it's already happening. It's already happened. We've seen it happen all over the country, especially in the last several months, which is crazy to think that, I mean, this presidency's only been going on for what, like 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah, we just finished the 100 days.
Yeah,
like that. We just finished the first 100 days.
So, a long road ahead. I'm definitely interested, but maybe for the next podcast, we shouldn't go all politics. I feel depressed now almost.
I was kind of just there all day, so I feel comfy where we're at.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
were doing research, right?
Yeah.
I had a Star Wars article. So
I realized, I was trying to figure out why I was kind of in a bummer all day, and then I remembered the House bill passing and all these things I was researching, and it all makes sense to me now.
The news is sad, guys. Let's be honest. The news is just depressing. But don't let it get you down. We still got a chance. We can still turn it around.
Something could happen.
We could make it happen.
Hopefully.
I was drinking water. I almost spit all over the place. That was
almost the first spit take of We Did a Podcast.
Almost. It's coming around.
Not quite there.
All right, Franklin. Is there anything else you wanted to add in on this Dakota Access Pipeline? Thank you for bringing this up. I feel a flame reignited in my heart.
Yeah, that's basically what my closing point was. Do your civic duty and stay informed. Don't forget about things that are important or should be important to you. They're our fellow Americans, you know what I'm saying? Even though they are our own nation, we've done enough to these people. Look out for those who need your help, you know what I'm saying?
Amen,
stay informed. Your civic duty. Do something. Come on. Sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you.
It's okay. I felt
I'm
the
sorry,
intensity.
baby. I didn't mean to yell at you.
Oh,
You know
geez.
I love you.
Two. Daddy Bender, we love you. Okay, so are you ready for a Peeps and a Predicaments?
Yes, Peeps and Predicts. David, for those that are our first-time listeners on episode 2 of We Did a Podcast, would you like to explain what Peeps and Predicts is?
I would love nothing more. So, Peeps and Predicaments is a segment where we're taking 2 people who are randomly placed in the jar. We're going to be honest. We wrote most of these. A couple of friends have thrown some in, so we might not know all the people that are in this jar.
Literally a couple of them.
Literally a couple of them. Like 2 people. So, and this, another plug for ourselves. If you are enjoying the podcast and you're like, hey, I really want to get my peep in there, I'm going to be honest, guys. You're getting in on the ground floor. You toss a peep, we'll throw it in the jar no matter what it is.
Now's the time. We're not even going to sift through them. It's like if you submit somebody, it's going in the jar.
It's going in the jar. We'll have to Google it if we don't know who it is. It's going in the jar. So
strike the iron while it's hot.
You could check it out at wedidapodcast@gmail.com. Send your peep or your predicament, and as well, whatever service you are viewing this on, whether it be YouTube. We're going to get a Bandcamp and a SoundCloud set up soon, even though SoundCloud might be going out of business. That's another podcast topic.
It'll be there for a minute.
It'll be there for a minute, at least till the end of the year. Anyways, back to Peeps and Predicaments. What we have going on here, we choose 2 different peeps, and we have them...
people for you non-millennials?
We have them go up head-to-head in 2 different predicts. That's predicaments for you non-millennials. So Frank and I are going to draw 1 of each, and then we're going to discuss and try and come to a logical conclusion. We've only done 1 before, so we haven't come to into the area where we could possibly tie if we just totally are on opposite ends of this. We'll find out what happens. We'll do it live.
If it comes to a tie, we'll just have a physical fight or something.
There you go.
We'll figure out. We'll get the mics real good, and you can hear all the.
That's a good punching sound. We'll get Scott Stapp in here to settle the score.
Yeah, he's gonna be a staple of this. And if you want to know why, just go back to episode 1. I refuse to explain it to you. Go back and check out episode 1, and you'll understand why Scott Stapp is now a permanent facet of this Peeps and Predicts.
the peep I got is funny, but I feel like a majority of people aren't going to know who it is.
Well, mine's pretty funny too, and I feel like it'll be like a 50-50 split. I feel like a lot of people might know.
Interesting.
It's really a group.
Okay. I'll read my peep first.
Read your peep.
I got Mayor of El Paso, Oscar Leeser.
He's such a good boy.
He's such a good boy. Okay, so if by chance you're listening to this podcast and you don't live in El Paso, which right now the chances are slim, but Oscar Leeser is the current mayor of El Paso as of 2017, and he's famous for owning a car dealership. And he's had these commercials literally since we were children, where
little niños.
His mom would come on the it's a radio commercial. Every commercial would end with his mom saying, "My Oscar, he's such a good boy," and that's like the end of every single ad to this day. It's still in there, and you can tell that they get her in and re-record it every time it happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's not a good endorsement. Your mom generally believes that you're a good boy.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. My mom always was afraid of me having bad influences in my life. And for most situations, I was the bad influence.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this. I know I've been telling you I've been recording it. You might listen soon. But yeah, it was me. It was me you should have been worried about.
And if my mom is listening, Frank is the bad influence. Let's be very clear here. But I'm making good decisions, Mom. I'm making very good decisions. So, for Mayor Oscar Leeser, one more thing I want to add. I've attended some different city council meetings in El Paso. I've attended maybe 4 or 5. I'm not entirely sure the exact amount.
A handful.
And that's in this last year or two. Every meeting I've been to, Oscar Leeser is not there.
Absent.
Absent. Every time. I'm not even joking. I can understand that the mayor might be busy.
How busy could he be?
But 0 for 5? Things get a little bit suspicious.
I tried to do the math on that, and I think it's 0%.
You got your math right on. Right
Nailed
now.
it.
You nailed it. So Oscar Leeser, maybe not the best mayor, but re-elections are coming up soon, and we're thrilled about that. Okay, who's your peep?
My peeps really, and not even really peeps, are the Teletubbies.
The Teletubbies?
The Teletubbies.
Okay, hang on real
Can you
quick.
guess who put this in the jar, David?
It's not you.
It was me.
It was you.
It was me.
Interesting. Oscar Leeser, I think, was my roommate George. It looks like his handwriting. It wasn't you, right?
No, that looks like it might be George. It's not girly enough to be Michelle's.
Yeah, so it's definitely George's.
But it's girly enough to be George's.
So we have Oscar Leeser, Mayor Oscar Leeser, against the Teletubbies.
What are they facing off in this week, David?
All right, first we have Chasing the House Cat That Got Out.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting. Okay. Something that happens very often in my apartment, certain cat.
Yeah, can you tell from the handwriting whose that was? Was it yours?
I'm using
Was
my
it
forensic science skills that I've picked up from CSI and Law and Order SVU. I'm pretty sure it's George's. It looks the same. This is also George's.
Interesting.
Weird coincidence. Okay, so let's just get down to this.
Yeah, let's get to it. So I'll go point, you'll go counterpoint, I guess.
All right.
You want to
Toss
cool
it
with
at
that
me,
on
girl.
this one?
Toss it at me.
Just off the bat, the Teletubbies are a group. That definitely helps with the search of the cat, as we found out. It definitely helps with at least 2 to 3 of us. They also have magical powers, David. Magical powers. We've shown Oscar Leeser's track record. Doesn't really show up, you know what I mean? Feel like if the cat got out, he would be like, eh.
Do the Teletubbies have magical powers?
They do have magical powers.
I'm going to be honest. I've never seen the Teletubbies. So what are these powers that they have?
Do they just like shoot laser beams out of their eyes? I don't know if that's true. I can't remember, but I remember them having some sort of powers. They like jiggle their tummies all weird. I might be thinking of the Care Bears. But I feel like they definitely have magical powers. But even without the powers, I feel like the power of being in a group is magical.
Okay, I'll give you credit there. Here's my defense for Oscar Leeser.
Hit it.
He's such a good boy.
Is he though?
He's gonna go out and find that cat because he's such. Okay, I can't defend this guy. This is if the predicament was like who can get out of their job the most, I'd be in support of us releasing. But the Teletubbies also, and I'm going to be honest, guys, I haven't seen the Teletubbies, like a picture of them in, I don't know, 15 years or something. I feel like they're kind of felt. The costumes are sort of feltish.
Yeah, they're definitely plushy.
Cats are going to be thrilled by that.
Oh, they're going to be so excited.
And then they got those like weird little dangly things on their head. The cat's going to scratch that.
Swapping at them. Swatting.
I think this is going to be a fairly simple peep and predict. It's got to be the Teletubbies. There's no other argument against
round
it.
one goes to the Teletubbies.
Okay, obvious choice.
Yeah, so who do you think would be better at chasing the escaped house cat? The Teletubbies or Scott Stapp?
Okay, so if you hadn't listened last time, we had Scott Stapp against Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. If we were really swinging for Cenk or Cenk, and Scott Stapp just has a very special set of skills. And it turns out, at least to his credit, at least to what his wife was saying on the 911 operating call, allegedly, he was trained by the CIA to kill President Obama. So if he has these skills to kill the president, it's arguable that Scott Stapp could catch a house cat.
Also, Scott Stapp is now living on the streets. Well, in a hotel the last we heard, but it probably spent some time on the streets a little bit of streets.
Let's give him some credit.
Buyo, the house cat who often escapes, also comes from the streets.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking, how do you catch something from the streets?
Whoa.
By being from the streets.
This reminds me of a fantastic episode of It's Always Sunny, where they're hunting cricket.
Yes.
And how else are you gonna get in the mind of that without being on the street?
You have to become the street cat.
Interesting. While I love the Scott Stapp argument from last time, I feel like the Teletubbies are still going to be better.
Yeah, really the plushie. Yeah, they're at least. How many Teletubbies are there, David? Do you want to look them up on your phone really quick?
I will.
I'll entertain the audience while you're checking that out. You can talk too, I guess. I'll let you talk.
I'm almost positive that there's 4 Teletubbies.
I'm gonna say 5. Price is writing you.
You are Price is writing me. That is not cool. Okay, let's see here. Teletubbies. Images. There's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them?
There's a yellow one.
I went over.
A red one, a purple one, and a green one. You're bust, man.
Hate it when that happens.
Yeah. Okay, so Buyo the house cat actually just jumped up here.
Yeah, she heard us talking about
I'm showing her
her.
a picture of the Teletubbies.
Totally she seems to dig the MacBook.
But to be fair, she is a cat and is uninterested in most things.
MacBook, not a sponsor. Hit us up.
Okay, somehow I think we should set the bar a little bit lower than Apple, but...
David...
Shoot for the stars.
Shoot for the stars.
Shoot for the stars. I mean, look at this. You can't tell me that a cat's not going to want to chase that.
Yeah, a cat might love that. Feel like they would be very afraid of Scott Stapp.
And also, Teletubbies are relatively silent, which if you've been around cats, you got to be quiet. If you're making too much noise and be gone, Scott Stapp's just going to be singing the whole time. Obviously.
Yeah, true that.
All right.
Or just screaming now because he's a crazy person.
Let's check out this predicament on your end. What do we got here,
Predicament number 2. Let me find the right jar here. I believe
here.
I found the right jar. I am now pulling it towards my choosing hand, digging my fingers around.
This is actually happening, audience. This is actually happening.
Oh, I dropped it.
He dropped it.
I caught it in between my knees. Let's see what we got here. Oh, nice. I was excited for this predict when I wrote it down.
I'm so excited.
Who would win in a butter sculpture sculpting and eating contest?
Okay, so are they sculpting themselves or something else?
Well, yeah, you can sculpt whatever you want. Yeah, that's open to the sculptees' decisions. I of course stole this idea a little bit from Weeds, a fabulous Showtime show.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they got to eat those butterheads.
That's a good episode.
They don't sculpt the butter, but they eat the butter. But I thought it'd be fun if the contest was you also had to create the butter sculpture.
Okay.
I'm assuming there'd be weight parameters involved. I don't know. I didn't think into the logistics of this a whole bunch. I just thought it'd be fun. Trying to have fun here.
Okay.
All right, David.
I appreciate that.
I went counterpoint last time. Why don't you go with your original point this time between, I almost said Scott Stapp, between El Paso Mayor Oscar Leeser and the Teletubbies.
I hate to use the same exact argument you had, but there's 4 Teletubbies.
Okay.
They're going to down way more butter.
True that.
Oscar Leeser, though, I don't know how much butter he's going to eat, to be honest.
He might eat a lot of butter.
He might. He's not doing his job.
I've never seen. Yeah, with all that time, he's got to be eating some butter.
I'm Googling Mayor Oscar Leeser, and
Are you Googling butter facts about Mayor Oscar Leeser?
I put Mayor Oscar Leeser butter. Nothing came up. So then I just went back to Mayor Oscar Leeser.
Go figure. Did you try Bean?
He's got
Bing?
ethics complaints. The Texas Rangers were investigating him.
My goodness.
I've seen Walker, Texas Ranger. It takes a lot to get Chuck Norris out on a job.
If Chuck Norris has to roundhouse kick you, you've done something wrong.
You've done something wrong. I also couldn't give Oscar Leeser the credit of being able to sculpt something. It's too much work.
John Cook, maybe.
John Cook would sing a song
As he's sculpting.
as he's sculpting. He'd bust out his guitar and sing you a song while he's sculpting.
John Cook, a former mayor of
Yeah.
El Paso, Tejas.
Yeah.
For those non-El Paso, Tejas listeners.
In the future, we'll try and keep the Peeps and Predicts somewhat non-local. We
do what I
promise it. We can't promise it 100%.
I pick like Jim from down the street.
Yeah, next week will be my high school physics teacher. Mr. Burroughs, he'd actually be a really good peep. He's a crazy guy. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get at here.
I digress.
I digress. Unless you have a good counter argument, Frank, I think all we've learned from Peeps and Predicaments today is that Oscar Leeser is super lame.
All right, so I have one counter argument.
Let's hear it.
Against your argument. Recently, we've done some escape rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a pleasant experience. If you haven't done an escape room, I definitely suggest finding one and experiencing that. It's awesome, even though we were defeated both times.
Yeah. So close. At least the
so
first
close.
time.
One step away. One step away both times, David. Both times.
It's rough.
One of the problems that we said we had, especially the first time, was too many cooks in the kitchen. This might hurt them in the butter sculpting phase. Yeah, you know, you got all 8 arms going around working and stuff. Somebody might smudge that butter sculpture, and then what are you gonna do?
Interesting.
Well, then what are you gonna do?
What's the bigger what's the bigger achievement, though? Having a better butter sculpture or eating the entire
I'm so
thing?
sorry we have to pause this for a second. I'm about to pee in my pants. We'll be right back after a short break. Yeah, sorry, that was extremely unprofessional. I also never claimed. Oh, David, I love it so much. I also never claimed to be a professional. I showed up to the first episode of this podcast with no mic stand, doing absolutely no research. So this is what you get, baby.
I liked the no mic stand, though. It was like a stand-up comedian act or something. It was really cool.
What's the deal with this podcast?
Have you guys heard about these podcasts? I can't do a Jerry Seinfeld voice. I'm not gonna try. So your argument for too many cooks in the kitchen, I would agree with you 90 out of 100 times, which I don't know why I didn't say 9 out of 10. But the problem here is that Teletubbies do everything together.
They're really do.
They're completely in sync. If they were in a room escape, they'd be destroying that thing.
They probably would. They
Yeah.
probably would.
I mean, our group of friends is pretty in sync, but, you know, maybe not as in sync as we could have been.
Not as in sync as, say, in sync.
As in sync, yeah, those guys could do a room escape. And I'm hoping they're on one of the, if not, we need to add them into Peeps and Predicts.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to write that down. Anyways,
Jot it down, David. Oh, I feel so much more relaxed now. I've had to pee for so long. I meant to pee before we started because last time we had to cut it a little bit short because I also had to
That's
pee.
what was making
and I
me
didn't.
giggle, though.
I didn't pee.
That's the funniest part, though, is obviously nothing was learned from those previous circumstances.
I brought a mic stand this time.
Well, that's true. I'll give you that credit. I stand by my previous assessment, Frank. Today's Peeps and Predicts has taught us nothing except that Mayor Oscar Leeser is
Not as good as the Teletubbies.
not as good as the Teletubbies.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I had to get some kind of argument in there just for argument's sake. But I guess the real question is who would win in a butter sculpture, sculpting, and eating contest? Scott Stapp or the Teletubbies?
My gut is telling me Scott Stapp on this one.
Yeah, this
I
one,
could see that guy eating a ton of butter.
I would venture to guess that there's, I want to say like a 35 to 60% chance. I got a wide range in there because I don't like being wrong. That Scott Stapp might be eating a diet of mainly butter right now.
It could. I mean, it could be.
There's a definite possibility that
definitely
might be all he's eating. Also, he's an artist, a quote unquote artist.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely not fine art that this gentleman has turned out in his
Well,
past.
You know, that one Creed album cover looks like it could have been sculpted out of butter. You know what I'm talking
But
about?
did Scott Stapp create the album cover?
No, but he saw it enough times. And he's probably living in a place with like thousands of unopened copies in boxes.
It's
sitting
just
in
like
his
he's
living room.
created a lean-to out of CD cases of Creed albums.
I'm pretty sure it was Human Clay is the name of the album. I could be wrong. But that straight
Like
up looks like
Clay
it could be butter.
Aiken?
Oh gosh.
I didn't
be
have
able-
a super lame pun until now, but I got it. I got it in.
That was awful. I mean, I don't even qualify that as a pun. Sorry, Frank. I have to shut that down. That's not punny enough to be a pun.
I can do better.
Well, anything else you want to toss in on this this debate here? I feel like Scott Stapp it would come out on top on the butter sculpting and eating.
Yeah, I feel like he would just eat that butter like a madman. It's like,
What, free butter?
and he would sculpt a sculpture of Scott Stapp.
Wow.
It would be a beautiful thing to watch.
Oh, it'd be like a modern age Adonis. But with long flowing hair.
So yeah, Scott Stapp won for 2 on this episode of Peeps and Predicts.
Yeah, I don't think he would have gotten the house cat.
No, yeah, I think for sure the Teletubbies would have come on top with their teamwork on that one.
But we got to give him the butter. We got to give him the butter.
No, I won't do it. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes episode 2 of We Did a Podcast. Definitely went a little bit longer than the first one. David doesn't know because I'm the one with the clock. I am the master of time over here.
I saw my clock, so I know it has gone a little bit longer.
God damn it, David.
But thank you for listening. If you have any suggestions for us, something you want us to talk about, maybe you just want to toss in an old peep or predict, send it to wedidapodcast@gmail.com. We would love to have your feedback.
Yeah, comments, feedback are welcomed. Let us know what you think. All 3 of you. Who knows how many people are listening?
Thank you for listening, though. And
I have to listen, David. I have headphones on. Your voice is plugged in.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to
sorry.
the future audience member.
The future.
The future.
We're in it. If that's something you can take away from this episode, it's that I don't plan well enough for my bladder, and that we are living in the future.
We're living in the future.